Hey, it's Cole Herc, and for the first time, I'll be building a computer. I've been waiting for about 2 years to actually build one. Very excited to be doing this, and let's get started. Including the tools and accessories, the total cost of this build is $2,771.34. Before we start, let's set up the tools for this build. This is a magnetic tool tray set from Aries. Screws will be placed in this tray to prevent misplacing them. This is an anti-static wristband from Insignia. It's a safe and good practice to wear since we're dealing with electronic components. This is an ORIA precision screwdriver kit. Now we're ready to build. What we have here is a CORSAIR RM750 power supply. What we're going to do first is install this inside of the case. I chose this case because I can see my components through the side panel and I like the color. We're going to remove the screws from the case, place them inside the magnetic tray. Unscrew the screws from the plate that holds the power supply in place. This is a 750 watt supply and it has an 80 plus gold certification. I'm going to install the power supply with the fan facing outward. Install the plate back in with the screws. Screwing the screws that were provided from the power supply package. This is an ASUS Republic of Gamers MAXIMUS 9 Apex motherboard. We're going to install the processor, the SSD, and the RAM. Starting with the RAM first, we have a Corsair Vengeance LPX 216GB DDR4 RAM, totaling into 32GB with a speed of 3200 MHz. Install the RAM onto the slots on the motherboard and press down firmly till you hear a click. As you can see, I'm doing it incorrectly by forcing the tab to snap back on. This will cause an issue later on that will be fixed. We're going to install an Intel i7-7700K processor. We're going to unhook and lift the plate covering the processor slot. And on the bottom left corner of the processor, there's an arrow. We're going to align that with the motherboard when we install it. Remove the black plastic cover. Then reposition the hook to hold the bracket down. Next up, with a capacity of 1 TB, is a Samsung 970 EVO Plus NVMe M.2 SSD. Provided with the motherboard is a DIMM.2 card. We're going to install the SSD onto the card and use the screw to hold it in place. Then we're going to install the card onto the motherboard and press down firmly. Next, we're going to remove the screws that's holding the other side panel. This is the side where we'll install the motherboard. Slowly lower the motherboard into place and screw in the screws on the contact points. This will essentially hold the motherboard in place. Connect the power supply connectors. Several times throughout this video, you'll see me making new connections or rearranging the cables to maximize clean cable management. Not all cables are the same, therefore it is crucial to read the manual that came with the motherboard. The case has input-output cables, so reading the manual from the case and motherboard will help with installation. Next up for installation is a H100i RGB Platinum SE liquid CPU cooler. The colors are customizable, which means I can stylishly cool down my computer. The provided backplate should be placed behind the motherboard, specifically behind the processor. The radiator is being installed at the top of the case. Please note that the installation of the 2 fans was not recorded. Sorry about that. The fans were installed facing down to allow air intake. The front plate comes pre-installed to the pump along with thermal paste already applied. Place the pump directly on top of the processor. While holding the pump down, screw on the thumb screws to secure the pump in place. Here you'll see me moving the cables for the cooler towards the back to maintain a clean look for the front. After moving the cables to the back, I connect them. Later on, I will improvise a way to better organize them. Cut me some slack. It's my first build. Next is an EVGA XC Ultra NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 Super graphics card. Remove the PCIe slot covers, insert graphics card into slot, and press down firmly. This is cable management that I previously spoke about. This is additional cable management, this time as with the CPU cooler. Here I'm connecting the 2 PCIe power supply connectors. More cable management, more cable management. We're almost complete. Just bear with me for a little while longer. If you're still here, I appreciate you. We have installed the power supply, RAM, SSD, CPU cooler, and finally the GPU. Let's move on. What we're setting up next is a Dell 27-inch LED QHD G-Sync monitor. I've purchased two. I couldn't resist. 50% off at $299 each. Yeah, no regrets. It has a resolution of 2560 by 1440 and a refresh rate at 144 Hz. This here is a surge protector by INSIGNIA. It has 10 outlets and 2 USB ports. Plug the monitor into one of the outlets. Before plugging the computer to the outlet, I made sure that all the power supply cables were connected. Now I am connecting a monitor with a DisplayPort cable. The motherboard RGB lights will show when it has power. The rest will show when I press the power button. All the components except the GPU lights up. There's also an error code that shows on the top right of my motherboard. According to the manual, the RAM isn't detected. Let's fix this issue. Press down on the tabs and remove the RAM. When we reinstall the RAM, we will press down firmly till we hear a click.
Oh.
Yes, I was surprised. Once I turned on the computer, the ASUS ROG logo shows and a message. Now I just need to install the operating system. Let's connect the accessories first, starting with the CORSAIR Dark Core RGB SE wireless gaming mouse, along with a CORSAIR MM200 cloth mouse mat. And last up, a CORSAIR K95 RGB Platinum mechanical keyboard. I connected a USB flash drive that has Windows installation media on it. Here I boot from it through BIOS. I also connected an Ethernet cable as required for this step. When it loads, I select my preferences, then click Next and Install Now. It'll ask for a license key. I reused the Windows education key that I had from college. Here, I select a custom installation since this computer never had an operating system. I click Next to install Windows on my SSD. After it restarts, I continue through the setup with the Ethernet unplugged to create a local account. At some point after the installation, I connected the DisplayPort cable into the port on the graphics card instead of the motherboard. Windows is now successfully installed. After installing all the updates for software and drivers, we will put the panels back onto the case. This was the best I could do for cable management, and I'm satisfied with it. We are all set. The computer is built and Windows is installed. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not an expert, but I wanted to record my first build to not only share with you guys, but to enjoy it with you. Like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on social media at CodeHerc. Thank you.